Yeah. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. What happened to my doggone camera? How are y'all today? I'm assuming you can see me. And there you have it. But great day today, right? Tuesday. We're in the game. We're happening. We're happy, healthy. Today we just want to celebrate culture. You Looking into our, Black radio history, our Black music industry history. Um, I got my start from, I was just blessed. Sometimes I look back over my, career life and understand very deeply that I've been, able to sit at the feet of some of the best in the whole, industry. And the one who drafted me and brought me into the game, he's here with us this morning, man. And, when I think back on those days, boy, we were really, really something, following the vision of this giant in Black music history. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lee Bailey. There he is. How are you, sir?
Yeah. I wonder myself, like I told you, mornings are not the best. I'm not. Mornings are not prime time for me, but for you, here I am.
Hey, I appreciate you so much for that. So funny because I listen to a lot of African radio, and I was listening to a guy, and they're like 9 hours ahead of us, so it's the middle of the night that the gentleman is on, and he was talking about whether or not you were a morning person. And he talked, it was really deep. He was taking calls, and then he had the psychologist on there to talk about how people move about, if they're not a morning person. And after we had our chat yesterday, I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, I wonder. And so I'm kind of profiling you right now, trying to see, let me see how you move it about. If you're not a morning person, does it match the description?
Yep. I don't think I'm a morning person. I think I used to be, but as I've gotten older, things have changed. I mean, I'm up, but I'm not like 100%. I'm not into it. You sound like you're into it. It takes me until maybe around 10 or 11 before I'm ready to engage, shall we say.
Well, I kind of hop out of the bed like that. I'm ready to rock. Let's get it.
I can only dream and remember back when I was like that. Those days are behind me. Fortunately, or fortunately, I'm not even sure.
Man, Lee Bailey.
But here we are.
Here we are, sir. Here we are. It's really good. First, let me just publicly thank you. Man, I had left a job at the bank and went into found out I had a few more dollars left on my GI Bill, and said, well, shoot, let me go and use these dollars up. And went over to Pasadena City College, needed an internship, and found you, or you found me, and shoot, the rest is history. Oh my goodness.
I was thinking about that when you were doing the intro. I was trying to remember, how did we find Greg? Do you remember? I remember, of course, after you got there, but I don't remember how you got there.
You listed at Pasadena City College, and I needed a lab.
Oh, okay.
So, because see, I wanted to be an engineer, so I was, all into the technology and everything, but I needed a lab for my broadcasting degree, and I had gotten a little yellow card. I saw it in there. I had no idea it was a Black-owned company. I'm just gonna let you know that now. I saw that. I said, okay, well, let me just go in here and check it out. And sales and marketing, I had a little business background from working at the bank. So I said, okay, let me go in there. And the guy, remember Andrew Shriver? Remember him?
Oh, yeah. He was doing sales.
Yeah,
That's right. And you came in as his assistant, if I
yeah.
remember correctly.
An intern at first.
Intern. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I came in interning at first, and then y'all were like, "Okay, we see some value in this little boy here," and so the rest is history.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you went on to head the department.
Yes, I did.
From intern to head of the department. How
Wow.
about that? Well, that's how it's
Well,
supposed to be, I guess.
yes, sir. Yes, yes. I learned so much. As they say, sitting at the feet of Lee Bailey, Diane Blackman Bailey. Man, we had a team right there, and
Yeah.
that was really really something. And when when you look back over the industry now, it's like, dang, we were really we were the squad. We were the shizzle.
I was about to say how many seasons was it? I guess that may be correct. But how
I,
many years did you put in with us? Do
I
you
think I
recall?
was there 9 years.
9 years.
Mhm.
So, as I think about it, whew, we had some good times.
Yes,
We had some,
sir.
there were some challenges, obviously, but
Right, right, right.
overall, I think we made history.
We made history for real, and that's a really, 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 really something to think about and reflect on. And you know, let me just ask you this though, as because I want to dive into because I got some stories. I know I want to talk to you a little bit about it, but I want to, as you now look at, well, let me preface my question like this. We were talking just before we went on, where we were talking, you were sharing that you didn't know about the streaming and all of that. And I was just said, you used to say that about the internet. And look at you now. You're the godfather of the internet, digital media, particularly in the African American space. Dang. But when you look at what you're doing now and contrast with the history of those days, that was the 80s and 90s right there,
Mhm.
radio scope, that was that was an as essential on radio as Soul Train was to TV, you know.
Mhm.
And what do you say when you look back and contrast today's modern times with what we were doing back in the day?
Well, in a lot of ways, there's no comparison, I guess, because of the speed at which things go in the internet age. As I remember, you could have an exclusive back in the day. You'd interview a top celeb or whatever, or get some news, exclusive news from wherever about whatever, and hell, you could you could sit on it for 2 or 3 weeks and nobody would have it. You could strategize.
Yeah.
You could even broadcast it on. You could then, after you put it on the air, it would still be maybe a week or two before anybody else would pick it up.
Mhm.
Uh, Now you have an exclusive about maybe what, a minute, I don't know, an hour at most
Right.
before the whole world, every other media outlets picked it up, and nobody knows that it started with you, because that's just the way it is. Even
Mhm.
now,
Mhm.
outlets, some will give you attribution, but most won't. So, having an exclusive doesn't really mean, it still means a lot, but
Mhm.
not the way that it used to. And like I say, just the cycle, the way things just move so fast, is
Wow.
just mind-boggling. But then again, I wonder sometimes if we'd have had the technology back in the day, how that would have affected things. I mean, maybe we could have been even bigger. I think I know one thing from a distribution point of view, we could have you could have saved a lot of money. but and I'm not even sure how to explain it, and stop them before I go too far, because I may
Mhm.
start, if I haven't already started, babbling. But
No,
sometimes I
you know
think
what,
about,
you make a good point with the distribution, because you know you just would have that whole room out back there. You put them on tape, you know, and
yeah,
have to record high speed duplication of you. If y'all remember the you know the reel to reel tapes, you know, high speed
right.
distribution, and then mail those out to hundreds of radio stations across the country. That's, hey, that's homemade right there. We was doing that thing.
Yeah, and to think that if we could have had the internet to simply email the stuff out, it would have taken what, moments, as opposed to days. And we had to mail the tapes out, what, on a Wednesday, Monday,
I feel like it
I
was
think
like
what it
Tuesday.
was, Tuesday, yeah,
Yeah.
so we get there by Friday, so it could be aired on the weekend and the following week. I mean, we had to think stuff. You had to like, we had to try and be in the moment at while we were like planning the moment a week or 2 or 3 weeks ahead. It was just
Yeah.
crazy. And nowadays you don't have to do that, because you're literally in the moment throughout the entire process for the most
Right.
part.
And everybody's a reporter. Yeah.
Everybody's a reporter.
Yeah.
Well, look
Yeah.
at you. How
Yeah.
did was a way? I guess is that's what inspired this. Uh, I had
Well,
no
you
idea
know, I kind
you
of
were.
I spent almost a decade at the feet of the greatest to ever do it. So, you know, hey, it's in my blood.
I
It's in
thought you
my
was a
blood.
salesman.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a triple threat. I could do production, I could do sales, and I could write the stories and whatnot.
Yeah,
So there you go.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I've
yeah,
just
yeah,
been
yeah.
blessed, man. It's just really, when I think about it, just really, really been blessed. And I think about, man, when Lee Bailey, JJ Johnson, Bob Dockery, uh, uh, man, Frankie Ross, Greg Beck, Stevie Wonder. I mean, I got a list.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a list.
I
Yes.
was listening to Greg Mack. It was funny. I heard him. I guess it was this past weekend, and I was thinking, like, wow, dude, man, he was doing some segues, coming out of a commercial, or going from one song to the other, and the way it was done. I was saying, now, is he live, or is this taped, or what? Because
Mhm,
I mean, his stuff was like tight, man.
mhm,
I'm like,
mhm,
wow.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm. And you know what? Also, too, you know, uh, working at Bailey Broadcasting Services gave me also an opportunity to meet a lot of different. I mean, it wasn't my job, but just by being in, you know, on the team and everything, but meeting different program directors and stuff across the country, radio people, black radio people across the country who took the time to pour into me in terms of, you know, how important it was to nurture this career, to be in the black media space and to tell our own stories and everything. That's in me to my core. And then, you know, just working at Bailey Broadcasting, and you know, look, Lee Bailey had me out there in the cold of Chicago, Illinois, looking for advertising deals and stuff, you know. But I'm thankful for that, right? I was in Chicago. I'm doing presentations at major advertising corporations in New York City. You know, it was cold as all get out in Chicago, but I was there, and I, you know, would never ever forget those experiences and what I learned there, and just lifting up, you know, black media, telling our stories, doing the work that is required to maintain and sustain this business. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
Lee, let
well,
me. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, well, you were qualified to do it. Like I say, you came in as an intern, and you just you listened, and you were willing to participate and learn the craft, and you had the enthusiasm and the youth as well. And well, we put you out there, you delivered.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Now, what are some of your favorite stories, now? I tell you, sometimes I hear a song, on the radio and I'll say, man, I remember when they first came out. And one is Mariah Carey. So like, I don't know if you remember. So Mariah Carey, so we went to um, that was a St. James Hotel we were at. You remember that? And there was Mariah Carey was brand new, and Ken Wilson said there was a Columbia, and they set up the little listening party, and we were all in there. They had a little chocolate dip straw. I'll never forget chocolate dip strawberries. It looked like tuxedos of the strawberries, and we were like, "Wow, Mariah Carey!" But the big story on Radio Scope was whether or not she was white or black, and the listeners were like, "Yo, what?" Do you remember that story?
Not really. I mean, I just, what drives me crazy is that we were doing so many things at the same time, and so I was just like going through the motions for the most part. Some things stand out, and it's funny how everybody they approach me all the time with all these, and like when Diane in particular, it's just story after story, and I'm like blank because I don't remember all of them. Some I do, but it's hard for me to remember a lot of the stories because there were just literally hundreds, just every day, story after story after story of some kind or another. And of course, I was so busy doing this and that and so on and so forth, CEOing at the same time, announcing the show, then interviewing, then doing the production. It was just crazy. And like in the daytime, I was in the office, like I say, doing all the office work, and then in the evenings out covering events. And remember back in those days, man, there was something going on practically every day, every night. And we were out there just getting interviews up the kazoo here, there, and everywhere, and with the up and comers and the people who were on top, the A list, so on and so forth. So I remember, now that I think about it, I remember the yeah, that story about was she black or white or whatever, but I don't remember meeting her at that event. I remember meeting her somewhere else at, I think it was the Universal Amphitheater, but I don't remember that specific occasion. So sorry, I can't fill in the details.
That's all right. I got for my eyes, I got a couple of those. I remember meeting Mary J. Blige. She brand new at Jack the Rapper. She was brand new, little young girl, and I'm meeting her and talking to her, saying, hey, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna be big, you got it, you got this, And now look at her now, legend status.
Yeah, I remember back in the days, we were kind of like, what's the deal with her? Because she was like a tomboy.
Right.
And kind of insecure, kind of tomboy, and I wasn't sure about her. I wasn't sure if she was going to make it at all. I knew she had the talent, but it was like she came off like a tomboy, simple as that. So I wasn't sure. Here she is, and what is this? 30 years later, I'm not even sure how many years it is, but at least 30 some years later.
No, it's about that.
She is on top.
Yeah. Lee, I want to say in those days, my seat at Bailey Broadcasting, I was able to watch the hip hop explode on us. I had a front row seat to hip hop, and I remember us having a conversation up there on Cahuenga Boulevard about whether or not hip hop was going to last, right? And we were really thinking about it, and then you allowed us to create the hip hop countdown and report, and that's like certainly. I don't know if we were the only, but we certainly were one of the first to be nationally syndicated hip hop radio show. The Source magazine, legendary magazine. Remember, they were intersecting with us. They were a newsletter, And you
Mhm.
know, I mean, we were just there at the beginning of the whole hip hop, you know, thing.
Yeah,
And
that was with Mike. Now, did Mike Mosby host that, or was that Felicia?
they both were.
Did she do it at one time? Man,
Yeah, he did it. He did it, and Felicia. Yeah,
were they co-hosts
they were
or
like
were
co-hosts.
okay? No, that's right. That's wow. Yeah, Mike was the host.
Hmm.
Well, Felicia, she did something, or did she follow him? Man, see, that's why it drives me crazy because there were so many things over such a long period of time. I
Yeah.
can't get the order correct in my mind. So help me out. Help
Yeah,
me.
yeah, no, she did a lot of also you let her do file reports on Radioscope, especially when it was with the younger artists
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
stuff. And then but she was like a sidekick to Mike Mosby, I
Okay.
guess, sort of like
But then
that.
she went on to host something on her own, if I remember correctly. Not that
I
it
can't,
mattered,
let's see.
but
Well, she was an
she's
artist too in those days, remember?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. A
Uh-huh.
poetess, yeah. And of
Yeah.
course, these days she has her own what
Yes.
recording studio. What is
Yeah,
it?
a podcast studio, Crenshaw
Morris
Boulevard.
Media. Yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out to Morris Media Studios.
Hmm.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes.
So a
Good,
few of the
good.
folks have gone on to bigger and better things, or to big things on their own, like yourself. So
You got a few. Look at Tina Davis. Tina
oh,
Davis,
yeah,
Felicia Morris,
yeah,
Sybil Curry out there making movies and TV
yeah,
shows and everything, man. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
The alumnus, the old Bailey alumni, are out there doing their thing, making the
Doing
world a
their
better
thing,
place.
you know. Yes, yes, yes. So, you know, we're really happy about that. I see Ken Smith out there every now and again. I think he's at I want to say K Earth. Ken, if you're watching, I'm sorry if I get your station wrong, but I see you still making those mixes happen, baby.
Yeah, he's got an online radio thing going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It escapes me the name of it.
Soul to soul radio.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize, Ken. Can't recall it off the top of my head. But yeah, he's doing that also.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
who else is out there?
Let's
Have
see.
you heard from Mike Mosby by any
I
chance?
haven't heard from Mike Mose, but I wish he would call me.
Yeah, Mike. We
I
hope
talked
you're
to
still here.
Danielle yesterday. Well, by
Oh
by
yeah.
text. By text.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
Danielle. Janice, um, Little John, Janice Little John, with the she's like an author, or I see her out there doing a
oh
lot of big
really?
things.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a few. There's a few of us out here trying to uphold our legacy. Make you proud.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. Happy
Yes,
to hear.
sir. You know, look, no Lee Bailey, no us.
Well, what can I say? But
What can we say?
thanks for helping Lee Bailey become Lee Bailey because I
Yes, sir.
couldn't do it
Yes.
by myself. That's for darn sure.
You know, and it's funny. I don't know if you've seen on. I want to say it's either Amazon or Netflix. One of those is Guy Torrey's documentary
Yeah,
on Fat Tuesdays.
right, right. Yeah, I've been watching that.
Yeah, now that one brings back memories of those Radioscope days. That one there, that hit me hard. I was like, oh yeah, that was those days.
Yep, yep, yep. I never went to the Fat Tuesday thing at. I remember it going on, but just never had a
Mhm.
chance to roll up in there. Did you ever go
I
to any
think
of
I've
those?
made in there a few times. Yeah.
Now, of course, what preceded that was Michael's thing on Crenshaw at
Yes. Uh,
uh,
um, um,
the Comedy Act Theater.
Comedy Act Theater. Thank you. I've been talking
Yeah,
to him about that one. That's a good. He's got a
that's
great
Michael,
story,
Michael
man.
Michael Williams.
Yes. He's been on here twice with us to reflect on those days and
Oh, really?
talk about comedy and what see how we could help continue to tell his story. He's got a great story.
Is he still in Vegas?
He's still in Vegas. Yeah. Yeah. He's a good guy, man. I mean, we gotta tell those stories. History. It's history. These days will never be, come back. You know, it's really history.
Well,
We had
I've had people have approached me about doing a documentary or two, and I'm saying, all right, well, whenever you're ready, let's do it.
Do
So
you
far, it's
have
always
you have
talking
video of
stage.
anything?
I've got a little video here and there, but
Mm-hmm.
not a lot. I have a lot of audio tape,
I know
but not
that's right.
not a lot of video. I got audio up to kazoo,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of video.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it goes back to hell. If we'd have had what we have now back in the day, I'd have video up the kazoo
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
as opposed to only audio.
As I reflect on those days, Lee, I'm thinking, the black music industry has certainly changed, right, over time. I mean, back in those days, when I talk to young people, I just say simply, man, we were just fabulous in those days, yo. It's just like, you go to the conventions that we had is 30, 40,000 black folks down there from all areas of the music industry, and culminating in the awards of like the last night, and we'd be in our tuxedos and ice sculptures and all this kind of stuff. You
Mhm.
celebrated black excellence, and it's almost like you don't see that anymore. And I'm reminiscing on this. Just we Sidney Miller just got his wings, and is just reflective of the importance of black radio exclusive as a digital media space, a trade magazine back in those days, and then most importantly the big conventions where we would have our seminars, and of course being entertained and wooed by the different record companies, but it was really just a celebration of the music. What are some of your biggest memories of the BRE convention?
Oh, whew. Well, it was kind of like how man, it's a loaded question in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. A lot
it
of fun,
is.
a lot of debauchery.
Was a debauchery and misdemeanors.
and, and a lot of serious work. I think in a lot of ways, the BRE on several occasions, and it's kind of hard to talk to define it because the BRE span lasted a long time. So there was the BRE span when I was like a DJ before Bailey Broadcasting, and then there was BRE during Bailey Broadcasting that sort of made Bailey Broadcasting because we sponsored events at a couple of BREs, spent some hefty money to be in front of the industry, and it sort of like solidified our position. So from a strategic point of view, a marketing point of view, BRE helped us to become, I guess, the force that we became in radio and syndicated radio. So I have to look at it like that from a strategic business point of view, and then before that is just a DJ out to have some fun. Oh my God! Between BRE and Jack the Rapper, and then the other one, the one that was in Palm Springs, that was
Urban Network.
Urban Network.
At Impact back in Atlantic City.
Impact in Atlantic City. See, now you started to get between all of those conferences. none of those exist today. And I can't think of anything that's come along to replace them with this generation. Yeah, this generation has no clue.
Mm-hmm.
I would believe of what came before them. A lot of this generation literally wasn't even born then, so
Yeah.
they couldn't know about it. So they missed, as far as I'm concerned, they missed some damn good times. Now,
Man.
of course, you probably argue that they're having a good time with the stuff they do, but I don't know of any kind of radio or record conventions that would be similar to what we had
Mm-hmm.
back in. Or are
Mm-hmm.
you aware of any
I'm not. We
internet conventions or anything? I guess the closest would be maybe what Puppy is having in Miami or something.
uh oh, and then Complex Con Pharrell does that here in Long Beach.
Yeah, but that's not that. Those are more, and even though, yeah, now to think about it, those are more. I don't know. I guess
Consumer base, yes.
consumer based are not really close. They're not industry based,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it's not nearly the same thing.
I
And
mean it.
they're like they're out there to it's consumer, so it's about a commercial aspect, whereas the industry was like camaraderie
Mm-hmm.
to a large
Mm-hmm.
extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, camaraderie, and then of course the education and everything. But now the black music divisions are gone, and
Yeah,
the A records are sold, and all of that. I mean, it would be difficult, I think, to try to replicate those days. But you're absolutely right. You have fun times, great education, and great networking. It was really, 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 really crazy. I will share one of my BRE stories, and it's on one hand it's a little unfortunate, but it's just an interesting story. So the um, BRE was in New Orleans, and it was right after the Rodney King beating, right? And the rappers started fighting in the lobby. So I was trying to go to the movie screening. The movie was Damon Wayans' Mo Money. I was trying to go to that. Remember, they would have the movie screens and put you on the bus and go to the
that's right.
theater.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I missed the bus. So I'm stuck at the bar, and I'm with a couple of record executives and everything, and we're just sitting there getting our libation on, waiting for the people to get back to see what else was going to happen in the hotel. And they started fighting in the lobby, and so it
Oh
was
yeah,
interesting.
the old
It was
lobby fights.
right. So yes, they started fighting in the lobby. New Orleans PD came into that hotel on horseback in the doggone lobby. It was the
Yeah,
darndest thing I ever seen in my life. I was like, wow, and quelled that
yeah.
on
I
horseback.
think I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Man, man, man.
Remember, I don't. Were you in Orlando for the Jack the Rapper?
I missed that one.
Oh man, that was interesting because I saw Suge take on the cops, and we were like, there was a presentation going on in the front of the theater, and in the back, somehow Suge and the cops got into something,
Mhm.
and Suge, the cops had guns, and Suge and his, I don't know, well, I didn't see any guns, but basically Suge dared them. The cops had guns and they backed down. Is the bottom
Wow.
line. At the end of the
Wow.
day, they
Mhm.
just. I'm like, wow.
Wow. Man.
They backed down. I'm like, wow,
That
man.
kind of was the beginning of the end, that Orlando one.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
right there.
That was a messy. It didn't work out well.
Mhm.
Kind of the beginning of the end for Jack the Rapper, and
Mhm.
uh, can't say so. Was that? I'm not sure if it was the beginning of the end for all of the conferences. No, I don't think so because, well, it may have been. It may have been. Now that I think about it, man, you got me thinking.
At
I
at
ain't
that
thought about none of this stuff in years. Wow.
you know, It's funny because I would say the beginning of the end for that level, because Urban Network kept going. Remember, they kept
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
and they were even doing them out in the valley.
Yeah,
Folks
you're
met
right.
there.
And because BRE had sort of like fallen off and Jack
Hmm.
Rapper sort of fallen off, you're right. And then it was Urban Network had sort of taken yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
That's right.
Hmm.
Urban Network, they became the leading, well, they were left, I guess. They were I guess, number one,
Hmm.
or how you want to phrase it, because the
Yeah.
others, you're right. Now that I think about it, they had fallen, BRE and Jack the Rapper had kind of fallen off for
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And I remember like Sidney would come to the BRE to try and promote his stuff. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, man,
Yeah.
this is a turnaround.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sidney Miller. I mean, those, and you looked forward to those magazines when they would come out every week. You know, remember Jack the Rapper magazine? Oh, yellow. That was a crazy looking magazine, man. But it was so important, right?
Well,
It's so
well,
essential when
basically,
it
when it came
looked
out, it was
crazy.
just, yeah. Well, remember when it first came out, it was just regular paper
Right.
about that 14 inches long. You got the
Yeah.
8 by 11. His was like 14 or whatever, and it was like 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper stapled together. It was black
Oh,
and white. It was
right.
done on. It was printed on. Remember the back in the day, you would roll it. What was it called? What? Ah, dang, man, you got me. See, I'm up here babbling anyway because all this stuff is just coming at me at a
Yeah.
thousand miles an hour. All these, see, oh God,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, it
Yeah.
was so.
Hey.
If you try and describe, I guess it's every era is like that, but what we dealt with today, we're talking about technology.
Mhm, mhm.
There's no comparison. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't even describe what I'm talking about because it doesn't even exist anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everything is on the computer. It's virtual. You don't hold it in your hands anymore.
Right. Right. Right.
It's a whole different world. You don't even have, for the most part, you don't have now. Of course, I was going to say you don't have discs, vinyl, but you do.
Mhm,
On one hand, you do because they've come back now to a certain extent as collectors' items. Or
mhm.
have you been keeping up with that? How vinyl is
Yes.
making a comeback in a limited kind of way.
Yes.
But back in the day, vinyl was it. And then, of
Mhm,
course, CDs. I remember one time, I do remember one time, we were talking about how Mike Mosby did a report on how how CDs are replacing vinyl. And we used to have the feedback line.
mhm,
And
mhm.
some guy from somewhere called in. He was pissed at the idea that vinyl records were going to be replaced by CDs. I thought it
Wow.
was crazy at the time and still do. But
Right.
the fact that this guy was so attached to vinyl, and of course, it was all about change. And that's how it is with a lot of people. I get, and myself, well, hello, because
Right.
this thing we're doing right now, I'm not totally as I see I'm babbling again because as I'm babbling talking about how I'm not totally comfortable with it, as the moments have gone on, I've become more comfortable
Mhm,
with it. But
mhm.
that's what it is about change. People hate change until it happens, and then it's no big deal. But and
Yeah.
that's just how it is. People don't like change.
Mhm, mhm. Well, and it's it's hard, and you're right. The whole vinyl thing is coming back. I met our little digital media studio is Dream Creator Studio. We're located in the East Village Arts District of Long Beach, and in our general area. I can't remember the guy's little studio, young guy. I met him, and he um record in his recording studio. He records everything analog so that he could capture the sound of back in the day with each of the with each of the instruments, and then he has this ginormous vinyl collection, you know,
How
and
old is this dude?
he's in his 20s, his late 20s.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
We'll
and
have to
then
talk to him and see what's going on in his head.
right,
Jeez,
right.
incredible.
Well, I got to tell you, I think VIP Records.
Hmm.
Yeah,
They, they still they still exist?
yes, they do. Actually, trying to work closely with them to make sure that the sign back in the day gets, historical landmark, and there's a few other things that they want to do in VIP Records. He's not the big store that he was before, but you know what? He's got a
Is that
big old vinyl
Cletus
collection.
Anderson? Is it Cletus?
Cletus is the eldest, but this one is Kelvin
Is
Anderson.
Cletus still with us?
Yes, he's down in Mississippi.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got to tell you, over the last 12 months of people who are doing broadcasts and live streams like this one of the most entertaining ones that I've ever seen was Lonzo Williams, and he had
Mhm.
Cletus and Kelvin on, and that booger was bad because I remember all the stories they were telling. It was just great.
I'm sure. Well,
Mm.
Lonzo's a master storyteller to begin with.
Yes, yes. Yes. We were just with him at we went to an NFT conference. Are you keeping up with this new
Uh,
technology? We're
I,
talking about
I,
change. Now, here we
see,
go.
see, there you go again.
We got to get on the blockchain.
There you go again. I have been trying to wrap my head around NFT, and to this day, I have failed miserably. But I keep trying because now that I can tell is the future. I just can't figure out how to deal with it.
Mhm,
So
mhm, 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 mhm.
yeah,
I would talk to you about that offline. Yes, it's
okay.
good.
All
Good
right. Well,
stuff. Good.
I'm ready to be taught because
Yeah, yeah.
I can see where that's going. Just like it's,
Mhm,
I could see where this was going too back in the day. I mean,
mhm,
I thought it was, I could see it. I could tell with it. I didn't envision all this. I mean, like what we're doing now. I
mhm,
definitely didn't envision it specifically, but I knew back then that internet was like sound, video, and print
mhm,
all in one, and I kind
mhm,
of embraced it because at the time we were having problems with syndication. There was always one or two or three program directors in major markets that just did not give a crap about us, would not let us in. And so they were the gatekeepers. And I instantly saw how the internet would uh, would take us directly, was a way to get directly to the end user.
mhm,
You could at that point you could bypass the gatekeeper, and sure
mhm,
enough, it's
mhm,
exactly what has happened.
mhm,
So
mhm.
that's the reason I embraced the internet back then. But it took a while. It wasn't overnight.
I
And I
already
remember,
know you. I get a chuckle out of it because I look at EURWeb and I'm like, boy, Lee Bailey, he was
uh,
not trying to go to the internet. I remember those days.
yeah,
Yeah, good stuff. I love it. I love it. Now, I mean, when we look at syndication, I mean, you were right there at the leading edge, pioneering. And it's funny you mentioned those program directors who were stubborn to get it. Now, if they're still working, they probably do have a syndicated morning show.
yeah,
Steve
exactly.
Harvey,
Yeah. Hmm.
Ricky Smiley, Dio
Yeah,
Hughley,
yeah,
just everybody syndicated, right? It's like it's
yeah.
really kind of bananas.
Yeah, all of those guys who fought syndication are dealing with it now, and or they're no longer in the business. But unfortunately, radio is not what it once was. And again, a
Mhm,
lot of that is because of the internet and people having the ability to get what they want when they want it, the way
mhm,
they want it.
mhm,
As an example, new weather, news, and traffic, and even music. Like today, I don't think the average person, probably under 20, listens to the radio with much frequency because they don't have to. They have this thing we're talking into. They have the internet, and they have the phone where they can hear what they want, when they want it, the way they want it, without commercials or whatever. So radio is not what it used to be, and I'm not sure how it's going to be in the position that it once was. I don't see how, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a fundamentally different art form now. Well, I don't think radio will ever go away, but I just think the way that we do it, the way we administer it, is just fundamentally changing right before our very eyes. For me, um, I love listening to. I'm global now, Lee Bailey. I'm all in Africa, and I've been going down to South Africa for quite a while now. This past December, we just returned from Ghana. I have a lot of friends, broadcasters, both executives, jocks, influencers at different radio stations on the continent of Africa. And sometimes when you listen to my favorite station is a station called Kaya FM coming out of Johannesburg, South Africa. And I mean, I got to tell you something. They are doing radio like we used to do it.
Really?
It's hot. It's hot.
Kaya?
Yep.
Kaya?
Kaya FM. Mm-hmm.
Are they, so you listen to them online?
I listen to them online almost every day.
Now, are they a terrestrial station in South Africa or online?
Yeah, they're terrestrial. Mm-hmm. And they're independent in South Africa. They also have state-run radio, and you have Metro FM, which is like the Kiss FM of South Africa. But see, the state they're broadcasting terrestrially in Johannesburg, but they also leverage the cable system to get into the other, like we have states, they have provinces to get out into the other provinces. So you'll see them all over the country, Then you have the traditional language one. So I've done three cultural exchanges with broadcasters from South Africa. We hosted 15 South African broadcasters a couple of years back, came here for exchange, and we took them up to the Musicians Institute, and we hosted a kind of a round table, if you will, at the recording studio where they made We Are the World. But the guys they spoke Zulu. They were Zulu. The Zulu kingdom is huge, down there in South Africa. And so there was, the Zulu language radio station. Their cume every morning is 11 million.
Good Lord.
Yep.
Good Lord. Well, that certainly isn't the case in the States. I don't think there's many mainstream, quote unquote, white stations that have that kind of cume.
Right. And so it's really interesting. Ukozi FM. That's the, yeah. But I listened to them all over the continent. Lee, I did. Like I said, we just went to Ghana in December. Was there for more than half of the month, but intersected with Joy FM and Hits FM 103.9 Hits FM. They were a good station.
Well, you sound like you're having a lot of fun in the radio sector of the world. I'm obviously on the late freight. I don't even know this stuff even exists anymore.
Well, we got to be global. I just really enjoy it, and and then over here at Hannibal Media Group, just building our online radio station, beachcityradio.com. We're getting ready to, this is kind of an early announcement, we might as well say it because we're going to do it in the next week or so, is beginning a print a newspaper, Beach City Perspective. And
get out. Look.
Yeah. We're making some stuff happen.
Hey, Johnson.
Yes, sir.
getting ready to get his mogul on.
Yeah,
Okay.
trying to make it happen. And you know what? Just and being at the leading edge and understanding, how are things changing, and how do we adapt to those changes and still create sustainability. That's the whole thing, is sustainability. And that's what I want to ask you on the business side of things. As you're on EURWeb, do you find the advertising agencies receptive to your product? And, how does that work for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But, it's like everything else. Like, I mean, you still got to go in and sell them. But then
Yeah.
again, it makes it easier when you have a brand. So, it's all about building the brand so that when you do step to them, they already know who you are, or if they don't know who you are, a little bit of research they do and find out that you're legitimate and you're for real, and it makes things easier. Now it's never easy, but when you're doing the work, it makes it easier, because at the end of the day, they have to have an audience to reach, to sell, to represent their products and services or whatever. So they need consumers, and they know how everything is fractionalized. You just can't go mainstream media as we knew it doesn't exist the way that it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like look at the networks, ABCs and NBCs, they don't have the power they once have. I mean, the streaming is kicking them in the butt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So everything, no matter who you are, everything has changed. There's the word interdicting, I think is the word, where there's another word also that I can't readily think of, but everybody is being affected by this internet one way or the other. No matter how big you are, you're affected by it, because everything's about a niche to a certain extent. So there are definitely opportunities out there. So the same thing that you're expanding your business, I think you're going to be quite successful with it, especially with your sales and marketing background.
Yes, sir. Well, look, that's all you. You know, let me ask you this. I often, one of the things, after I left Bailey Broadcasting, right, and I started my own business, the Hannibal Group, which now is the Hannibal Media Group. But then I went over into KJLH, where I actually went into KJLH wanting to do 3 years, retool, and go back out, back on my own. I ended up, more than 20 years at KJLH. But as I am a product of Black radio, coming from birthed at Radioscope, worked at Lee Bailey, worked at KJLH, I'm just become very much a Black radio person. And I know that when our story is told, when we tell the Black radio story, it's always told from an East Coast perspective. It's Frankie Crocker, Butterball, all these guys, right? We don't really tell our story from the West Coast perspective. And I know, you were the voice of Cute 102. Talk about some of the West Coast jock experiences and the personalities in up and down the West Coast that you know of.
Well, I mean, my goodness, there are quite a few of us. I mean, the West Coast, I think, held its own and represented with the best of them. I mean, there was this guy named Sly Stone, who you may have heard of. He began his entertainment career as a DJ in San Francisco, and of course, he went on to incredible things as a musician of Sly and the Family Stone. Before him, here in LA, you had a guy named magnificent Montague, who was a force to be reckoned with. I think there was a term called "burn, baby, burn."
Yes.
That exemplified the Watts riots, and of course he got in major trouble about that back in the day. For saying that over the air, but that went on to exemplify the disco era at one time. Before him, a student named Johnny Otis, another DJ from here in LA, who became a huge R&B star. You've got oh my goodness, man. See now, why do you do this to me? And the West Coast was so appealing to Frankie Crocker. Speaking of that, he ended up relocating here, and of course he tried to do something crazy, which are you spoke of Cute 102. I was on the air there, and Cute 102 was bought by Inner City Broadcasting out of New York, and so they Frankie was a program director of WBLS. Which was owned by Inner City. So they bought Cute 102, and Frankie had the grand idea of being on the air in both cities at the same time.
Wow.
Let's just say it didn't quite work out too well. He would be here in LA, on the air in LA, and on the air in New York. The problem was he literally trying to convince people. Well, he was on the air in both cities at the same time, but he was playing different records in New York than he was playing in LA, as opposed to doing the show based in LA for LA and New York. He was doing a show in LA for LA, and while he was in LA, he was doing a show for New York.
Wow.
I think you can tell just the way I'm describing it, how well that did not work, because even he would get confused as to what song he was playing in what city. It was just a disaster. I mean, why he thought that would work, I don't know, but God bless his soul, he's gone on. But that just shows the appeal of the West Coast. So I don't think we took and I guess you're right. New York or the East Coast back in the day was the place for radio. That's where it all began and all that. But I think West Coast represented extremely well on its own. Also,
I agree with that. I just think we gotta document that history like it is from that East Coast perspective. You just document that history. You go up there, even Felicia's dad, Johnny Morris, Johnny Dart.
Okay, there's Johnny Morris is the cat that when I was in the Air Force, before I got in radio, I was up in Sacramento, and he was at KDIA, and Johnny Morris would allow me to come down to KDIA and just literally, I would be in the studio with him. He would let me in the studio, and I would just, you talk about sit at the feet of somebody. I would just sit there and just watch him go through the motions and literally watch him in awe, and just think, okay, one day this is what I'm going to do. But I will always be grateful to him for allowing me to just come in and literally sit at his feet and watch him do what he does, because that's what I wanted to do. And he was gracious enough to allow me to come in and watch him.
Thankful for this. I got my
God
friend.
Bless his soul. He's gone on.
God bless his soul. Yes. I have a friend. She's usually watching here, Dr. Gloria Willingham, and she always says, "Lifting as we climb," and that's what we're talking about. Is you sit at the feet of these folks, and while they're rising, they're bringing us with them. And Lee Bailey. Diane Blackman Bailey Broadcasting Services did that for me. That's for sure. No Lee Bailey, no Greg J.
Well, you're
Yeah,
welcome, my brother,
yes,
and
sir. I appreciate you so much.
you're making us proud.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna tell you a story because I just want to make a confession, right? So, Sister to Sister magazine had a big old party in New York City, right?
Hmm.
And you and Diane were there, and then Jamie invited me, right? And so I said, "Okay, well, cool. I'm gonna roll out there." And I went to the party, and I saw you and Diane, and there was like, "Oh man, shoot,
What?
we didn't want you to know that we had gone to that party." And so we came in there. I looked in, I saw you guys from across the room. I turned around and went back out. I was in New York. That was funny. Funny
Well, I
stuff.
don't think I would have had a problem with you being at the party. It wasn't my
Uh,
party anyway.
well, I would say, totally respect you as our boss, as our leader, you and Diane, and really did my best to represent you. Very proud of that time of being a part of Radioscope, being a part of history. I mean, we could probably be on here a whole another hour talking stuff about.
Yeah. Well, now that you've got me comfortable and none of them awake.
Now that you're awake, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, Lee Bailey is the end of our time, but let me ask you this. How can we get a hold of you? We know EURWeb. What else is going on? What's the future? What it do?
Well, we're all about just making EURWeb bigger and better. We have our designs on. I wouldn't say doing what you're doing, but definitely getting more into the video realm. I mean, we're doing video, as it were, interviewing the who's who on a daily basis. But I'm battling with, I'm beyond spotted. I'm 74 and still doing it, but I'm a little tired. I'm real tired, to be honest about it. So, and I've always got people approaching me about hosting this or doing that. And it's a fight because on the one hand, I kind of want to do it. On the other hand, I don't, because I don't have the stamina and energy to go like I did back in the day. But it's just strange how stuff is still coming at me when in my mind it's like maybe I should be shutting down and just chilling for a while and trying to like either recharging or just going out into the pasture somewhere. So I've always I've been debating that just what to do about that. I don't know, but in the meantime, and also trying to think about the future of how do I transition. Well, one day I won't be here, or actually will transition, but what do I do? Who do I leave it behind for? How do I because I'd like for my legacy to continue. So I'm trying to figure that out, to be honest. So so God willing, before I leave, I will have figured it out one way or the other.
Let's go to Africa. Come on, go on one of my
Man,
trips with me. I'll show you the
I
bomb time, bro.
you know what? When you were talking about that earlier, I was about to pop out and say, well, you ain't never invited me.
Well, you know what? We're putting together a trip in December. And so I'll send you some info on that. I
Because
think
no, it's summertime there. It's warm in December in
it's
Africa.
hot as all get out in Ghana in December.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
they say, Africa hot is
Africa.
very warm.
Really? Is it
Yes.
humid or dry or what?
It's like a humid. It's like being in the South.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then
Well,
in South Africa is our winter is their summer.
mm-hmm.
So your
Oh,
friends in South Africa are going to the beach while we're hunkered down
mm-hmm.
here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
So December, you're saying December of 22?
yep, December 22. So going back there, when we went this past December, we actually went on a business for a business expo. As you know, Ghana is offering, dual citizenship and reaching out to African Americans to come back. So we went with
Oh.
Ambassador Chihambori Kwao,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Arikana, and was there to examine the foundation of what she's calling the City of Return. She's been given land by some of the kings out there to build this whole city where it's, brothers and sisters from all over the diaspora can come home. Then the other trip that we do is I go take them to the Cape Town Jazz Festival. I've been doing that pre-pandemic. I'd done 13 years of taking people to every year to down to South Africa.
Is that in December?
That one's in March. Like if we would be leaving like right about now, because March Madness starts tonight. Yeah, so right about now, we would be leaving. It's usually around the end of March, going into the first part of April. That one, first of all, when we get down to South Africa, I'm showing you Johannesburg, very cosmopolitan place, which is going to knock you over like a feather, just because people always say, they say, man, Brother Greg, they don't show us this Africa. So, you're there in Johannesburg, it's cosmopolitan. And then I take you out into the bush for safari. And then I take you down to Cape Town, and there we're going to Robben Island, where Mandela was in prison for 18 of his 27 years. We're going to the wine country, but the pinnacle of that
I'm in.
Yeah, let's get it. The 2-day jazz festival, Lee Bailey, is off the chain. 5 stages, us, and 60,000.
Okay, I'll start getting ready.
All right, let's get it. Yes. All right, I'll send you some info. We can make it happen. It'll be good. All right, y'all. Well, there it is. The world famous, legendary Lee Bailey with us. Coffee Conversations with Greg J. You can get it. Join our page. That's right. Oh, I import coffee from Cameroon too. There, Kalimbasong Coffee Company.
Of course you do.
Sitting at the feet of Lee Bailey and Diane Blackman Bailey, learning how to be an entrepreneur. That's what I did. I was paying attention.
You're showing off now.
All right, y'all. We're going to resurface this audio wherever you get your podcasts: Spreaker, iHeart, Google, Stitcher, everywhere, Spotify. Just go ahead, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. All right, y'all. EURWeb.com, EURWeb.com. Support them. Get on their mailing list. There it is. And of course, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. Lee Bailey, thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you very, 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 very much. I appreciate this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Make it a great day. Love one another. Peace and blessings.